Isometric RPGs bring rich worlds, deep storytelling, and tactical combat all from a unique top-down view. Here are the must-play gems every RPG fan should experience. Let's dive into it. Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader puts you in the rare position of commanding power and prestige, not scraping by as a nameless adventurer. As the heir of the Von Valancius dynasty, you lead a 130-hour campaign of tactical combat, deep roleplay, and excellent writing across the grimdark Warhammer 40k universe. The combat is dense and crunchy, rewarding players who master positioning, buffs, and creative squad synergy, while the branching narrative and companions like a Space Nun warrior, an ancient Eldar sniper, and even a werewolf in power armor keep the journey unforgettable. The colony management and ship battles add extra layers of strategy, and while bugs and clunky systems hold it back at times, the sheer scale, ambition, and atmosphere make this a must-play for fans of isometric RPGs.
In Kairos' empire, the execution of justice is paramount.
Tyranny flips the usual RPG script by asking a bold question: what if evil had already won? Set in a world conquered by the overlord Kairos, you play as a Fatebinder, an enforcer of the Empire tasked with stamping out the last sparks of rebellion. What makes Tyranny shine is how heavily your choices reshape the world. From deciding the fate of entire factions to watching towns thrive or crumble based on your rulings, every decision feels weighty and often unsettling. Its combat blends real-time with pause and features a smart spellcrafting system and powerful combo abilities between party members, while the smaller 4-character squad keeps things focused and manageable. At around 25 hours, it's leaner than most CRPGs, but endlessly replayable thanks to radically different paths and endings. Tyranny proves that old-school design can feel new again when paired with meaningful choices and a world where morality is never black and white.
Show mercy.
Attack!
Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition takes the classic Infinity Engine formula and leans fully into combat and dungeon crawling. Unlike Baldur's Gate or Planescape Torment, which thrive on memorable companions and story depth, Icewind Dale has you create your entire party from scratch, meaning you won't get the same character-driven narratives, but you will get pure tactical adventuring. Set in the frozen spine of the world, the game delivers a linear but atmospheric trek filled with dangerous dungeons and relentless battles. The Enhanced Edition improves mechanics with quality of life upgrades, while randomized loot adds variety. Baldur's Gate 3 is a landmark RPG that sets a new standard for story, player choice, and tactical combat. Larian Studios built a massive world filled with meaningful decisions, well-written companions, and countless ways to handle situations whether through diplomacy, raw strength, or pure chaos. The turn-based battles are challenging, creative, and satisfying, pushing you to adapt and rewarding clever ideas like using the environment as a weapon or avoiding fights through dialogue. Across its 3 huge acts, every quest, character, and side story feels carefully crafted, with choices that echo many hours later. Stunning visuals, expressive performances, and co-op play make the adventure even more immersive, while the branching story invites endless replays. Despite some bugs and performance drops, Baldur's Gate 3 isn't just a worthy sequel to its classics, it's one of the greatest RPGs ever made.
Before me. Bow before the absolute. Bow!
Solasta Crown of the Magister is the closest you'll get to playing a true Dungeons & Dragons campaign on PC. Every dice roll, persuasion check, and combat encounter is pulled straight from 5th edition rules, giving it that authentic tabletop feel. The game focuses on dungeon crawling and tactical combat rather than sprawling open worlds, and that's where it shines. Clever use of light, height, and terrain makes every fight dynamic, and your custom-built party members feel alive thanks to distinct personalities and banter. It isn't perfect, the story is serviceable, the presentation uneven, and the linear structure might turn off players expecting a Baldur's Gate-style epic. But if you're craving a faithful D&D experience with smart level design and engaging turn-based battles, Solasta is a gem that deserves a spot on your list.
find a way to destroy them. Fortunately, we have an ace.
Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is a massive isometric RPG that builds on the foundation of Pathfinder Kingmaker and adapts one of the Pathfinder tabletop game's most ambitious adventure paths. Instead of a generic fantasy kingdom, this sequel throws you into a crusade against a demonic invasion, where you take on the role of a mythic hero whose choices, powers, and alignment shape the story. The game shines in its deep role-playing, excellent companion writing, and flexible combat system, offering both real-time with pause and a fully realized turn-based mode from the start. Party dynamics feel meaningful, with companions often clashing over your decisions, and the mythic paths open up dramatically different ways to experience the campaign, from becoming a righteous angel to embracing the power of a lich. While the scale of the game is impressive, it comes with drawbacks. Crusade management feels clunky and underwhelming, pacing can drag, and the sheer length demands a massive time commitment. Still, with strong storytelling, improved accessibility over Kingmaker, and one of the best turn-based systems in the genre, Wrath of the Righteous stands out as a landmark RPG for those willing to invest the time.
Their master, the Demon Lord Daskari, thinks he can break our spirit. He is mistaken.
Wasteland 3 is a darkly humorous, choice-driven tactical RPG set in a frozen post-apocalyptic Colorado. Playing as the last surviving rangers from Arizona, you're tasked with navigating a brutal world of killer clowns, cults, and scheming factions, where nearly every decision carries weighty, long-term consequences. The game excels in branching narratives and moral dilemmas that force you to pick between equally grim outcomes, often with repercussions felt hours later. Combat builds on Wasteland 2 with streamlined, turn-based mechanics, team-based initiative, and greater use of environmental interactions, while skills like Hard-Ass and Kiss-Ass allow alternative resolutions outside of battle. Fully voiced characters, striking faction designs, and sharp satirical writing bring the world to life, even if the political allegories sometimes feel a little heavy-handed. Co-op play, flexible builds, and a wealth of side content add to its depth, though bugs, clunky map navigation, and performance issues can frustrate. Despite these flaws, Wasteland 3 stands out as a memorable RPG packed with bleak humor, meaningful choices, and hours of snowbound chaos.
Don't drag your feet, Rangers.
Started when magic came back. The Awakening, some call it.
Shadowrun Returns brings back the long-dormant cyberpunk fantasy world of elves, trolls, hackers, and street samurai, blending magic with technology in a gritty, noir vision of 2050 Seattle. At its core is the Dead Man's Switch, a tight story of murder and conspiracy that escalates into something much bigger, backed by expressive writing and stylish 2D backdrops. The turn-based combat feels like a lighter mix of XCOM and old-school Fallout, with enough tactical depth to stay engaging. The game is short, fairly linear, and many choices feel shallow, with forgettable characters and repetitive cyberspace sections.
Welcome to the sprawl.
Underrail is an old-school RPG that wears its Fallout inspiration proudly, offering a brutal and atmospheric dive into an underground post-apocalyptic world. You play as a lone explorer venturing through dangerous tunnels, abandoned stations, and mutant-infested ruins, where every encounter could be your last. The turn-based combat is unforgiving but deeply tactical, letting you set traps, toss grenades, and build characters specialized in everything from psionics to stealth. Exploration is the real star, hidden passages, loot worth risking your life for, and multiple ways to solve quests keep the world engaging. But it's also a demanding game. Limited merchants, constant backtracking, and a punishing endgame can test your patience. Still, the sheer depth of its systems and the oppressive atmosphere make it one of the most rewarding RPGs for fans of classic Fallout-style survival and strategy. Underrail isn't for everyone, but for hardcore CRPG lovers, it's an underground gem. Divinity Original Sin II is one of the finest RPGs of the decade, a game that takes inspiration from classics like Baldur's Gate, but pushes the genre forward with unmatched freedom, creativity, and depth. Set centuries after the first game, it tells the story of sorcerers, magic wielders oppressed and shackled by a fearful world. and gives you the choice to play as a fully custom hero or one of 6 richly written origin characters with their own personal quests. Every decision feels impactful, from dialogue choices that shape relationships and story outcomes to environmental interactions that redefine combat strategy. Its turn-based battles thrive on experimentation, letting you combine spells, terrain, and party synergies in endlessly clever ways. The writing is sharp, morally complex, and often darkly funny, while a fully voiced cast brings life to even minor encounters. Co-op play, a Game Master mode, and countless branching quest lines ensure massive replayability, though the sheer freedom can sometimes cause chaos in multiplayer. With its layered storytelling, inventive combat, and a world that feels alive with consequence, Divinity Original Sin II stands as a modern RPG masterpiece.
They are God-woken, the chosen champions of the other 6 gods.
The Temple of Elemental Evil is a love letter to old-school Dungeons & Dragons, offering one of the most faithful digital adaptations of the tabletop rules ever made. It drops you into the infamous Greyhawk module, where you'll build a party from scratch and take on tactical turn-based combat that rewards smart positioning and careful spell use. For fans of pure dungeon crawling, it's a treasure trove of encounters, loot, and classic fantasy adventuring. But as authentic as it is, the game is also notoriously clunky. Bugs, awkward pacing, and a lack of polish hold it back from greatness. Still, if you can look past its rough edges, Temple of Elemental Evil delivers a crunchy, strategic RPG experience that feels closer to a pen-and-paper campaign than almost anything else on PC. It's flawed, but for hardcore D&D fans, it's an essential piece of RPG history. Disco Elysium. The Final Cut is a one-of-a-kind RPG that blends detective noir storytelling with pen-and-paper style role-playing, creating an experience unlike anything else in gaming. Set in the crumbling city of Revachol, you play as an amnesiac detective tasked with solving a murder while simultaneously piecing together your broken identity. The game replaces traditional combat with dialogue-driven encounters and skill checks, where 24 unique aspects of your psyche constantly argue, guide, or sabotage you, making every decision feel personal and unpredictable. Its painterly art style, haunting atmosphere, and brilliantly sharp writing turn every conversation into a mix of philosophy, dark comedy, and socio-political commentary. The Final Cut enhances the already stellar experience with fully voiced characters, new political vision quests, and even more opportunities to shape your detective's beliefs, making the world feel alive with consequence. Thought-provoking, strange, and often hilarious Disco Elysium, The Final Cut isn't just an RPG, it's a masterpiece of storytelling and player choice that lingers long after the credits roll.
About to become a war. Heaven sent their finest.
Fallout 2 builds upon its groundbreaking predecessor, with even more freedom, branching paths, and unforgettable choices, cementing itself as a cornerstone of the CRPG genre. Set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland inspired heavily by Mad Max, you take the role of the Chosen One, a tribal descendant of the Vault Dweller, tasked with finding the legendary Gek to save your people. Along the way, you'll encounter mafia bosses, slavers, political factions, and some of the most colorful companions in the series, with every decision shaping both your journey and the world around you. While its dated visuals, punishing random encounters, and pop culture references may frustrate modern players, the game shines through its deep role-playing systems, open-ended problem-solving, and rich lore that still informs the Fallout universe today. With its tactical combat, memorable side quests, and an epic finale that ties everything together, Fallout 2 remains a classic that rewards persistence with one of the most ambitious and freedom-driven RPG experiences ever created.
They were right to fear me. Had they not taken my home of fire?
Path of Exile is a dark, complex, and uncompromising action RPG that captures the spirit of classics like Diablo II while pushing the genre in bold new directions. Set in the grim world of Rayclast, players begin as one of 7 exiles cast onto its cursed shores, each tied to a massive passive skill tree that allows for near-limitless customization. Its combat delivers the raw satisfaction of tearing through endless hordes of enemies and looting mountains of gear, while its innovative gem-based skill system ensures that even the simplest weapon or armor piece can shape a unique build. Multiplayer thrives on a barter-driven economy that avoids traditional gold systems, and its evolving leagues and endgame maps provide long-term depth. While early difficulties may feel too forgiving and desynchronization issues can frustrate, the sheer freedom of character development and the generosity of its free-to-play model make Path of Exile one of the most rewarding and enduring ARPGs ever released.
Reliving memories. Made real.
What have you done?
Made grotesque.
Baldur's Gate 2: Shadows of Am expands on the original with richer characters, refined combat, and an epic tale. It begins with your capture by John Irenicus, whose experiments spark a story of revenge, lost power, and moral choices. While the main plot is more direct, side quests shine with dragons, conspiracies, and memorable encounters. Companions feel alive through rivalries, romances, and personal quests, enhanced by strong voice acting, especially David Warner's chilling Irenicus. With dozens of classes, unique strongholds, and nearly 100 hours of content, Shadows of Am remains one of the most rewarding Dungeons & Dragons RPGs ever made. Diablo II Resurrected is both a faithful revival and a stark reminder of how far action RPGs have come since 2000. The remaster delivers gorgeous 4K visuals, atmospheric lighting, and beautifully reworked character models, all while letting players instantly toggle between the old and new graphics. Its sound design remains iconic, from the clink of gems to the chilling laughter of Baal, with a remastered soundtrack that enhances the dark gothic mood. The core gameplay is untouched, retaining the addictive loot grind, punishing combat, and build-defining skill trees that made the original legendary, along with its quirks, exploits, and notorious bugs. While quality of life tweaks like auto gold pickup and a shared stash help, many outdated systems, limited respecs, stamina-based running, clunky loot sharing remind players of the game's age. The campaign still shines in its best acts, co-op multiplayer remains its beating heart, and experimentation with builds continues to offer boundless replayability. Yet for newcomers, the grind, harsh difficulty spikes, and archaic design may feel more frustrating than fun. Ultimately, Resurrected is a beautifully polished time capsule, an essential experience for veterans seeking nostalgia, but one that shows its cracks to modern players.
What if you were a byproduct of another's immortality?
Torment Tides of Numenera is a rare RPG that values words over bloodshed, offering a deeply philosophical and text-heavy journey through a bizarre, far-future world. As the last cast-off, a discarded shell of the immortal changing god, you navigate a setting littered with the strange relics of countless dead civilizations, where reality is as alien as it is fascinating. The writing is the game's strongest feature, with rich dialogue, branching choices, and the unique tide system that tracks your motivations and reshapes how others respond to you, allowing most conflicts to be resolved through persuasion rather than combat. Companions like the reality-shifting Callistege and boastful Eridus bring memorable personalities and stories, adding depth to the narrative. Unfortunately, when combat does occur, it often feels clunky and tedious, despite some clever mechanics like effort-based skill boosts and influence carrying over into battles. Still, the sense of discovery, layered storytelling, and moral ambiguity make the experience memorable, even if the ending feels rushed. Ultimately, Tides of Numenera succeeds as a spiritual successor to Planescape Torment, delivering an imaginative, dialogue-driven RPG that prioritizes thought, choice, and atmosphere over flashy action.
Or acquire information from afar using ancient devices and ranged esoteries. Heal or even teleport your allies.
Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire takes everything Obsidian built in the first game and expands it with richer writing, sharper visuals, and deeper companion interactions. Set in the exotic Deadfire archipelago, you're once again the Watcher, this time chasing the god Eothas across the seas after he destroys your home. The journey blends political intrigue, cultural clashes, and existential questions into some of the best high fantasy storytelling the genre has to offer. Combat sticks to the familiar real-time with pause formula, And while some balance issues make it a little easier than it should be, the depth of party building and tactical play is still rewarding. Naval combat is a neat idea, but feels more like a distraction, while the voice acting, including the Critical Role cast, brings Obsidian's incredible writing to life. Despite a weaker central conflict, Deadfire shines as a masterclass in RPG world building and narrative, and it stands as one of the finest modern isometric RPGs,